Morning, folks. What's going on? Doing a real quick one for you because it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. Can you move a manufactured home and get it cheap and build your dream home? It keeps coming up, and the short answer is yes, you can. But there's pitfalls to it, right? And usually people call me because they want to get money. So let me give you the scenario. The scenario is, and I'll give one that I just had. This lady calls me up. She says, I want to buy this cheap manufactured home. She didn't say cheap, but she said manufactured home. And I want to move it to some land that I'm going to buy. I want to buy some land. So I want to get a loan for the land, and I want to get a loan for the manufactured home. And I said, okay, well, how much cash do you have? We started breaking down the cash, and I said, so let me make sure I understand this. How much is the manufactured home? That always is an indicator to me. And she goes, I think this one was like $15,000. She goes, it's $15,000. I'm like, oh, okay. What year was it built? I just start going down the scenario. Now here's the thing. It almost doesn't matter. And this is why. If you got to look at near fight, mid fight, long fight, near fight, mid fight, long fight, when you're trying to build your dream home. And not everybody thinks that way. So I started asking more questions to try to figure out what does she really want to accomplish. And what she wanted to accomplish near fight was she wanted to be able to get a home that she could afford that was relatively cheap. She thought she could be in and out of it for about $100,000 and have a dream home. And in a way you can, maybe, not really, but maybe. So I says, okay, well, have you thought about the mid fight and the long fight? And she says, what do you mean? Well, first off, the land, I can't give you a loan on a $20,000 piece of land. I can't do it. I'm sure somebody can, but I'm not the person that can do that. So specifically to the state of California, I can only give a loan on a land parcel that's $100,000 or more. But that doesn't matter. Let's say I could do the $20,000 on the land. It's the used manufactured home. It was a 1976, pre-1976, almost always. So it's not a manufactured home, it's a mobile home, right? And I think I've done plenty of videos on this. So you got a pre-1976, which even if it was stuck in place and it didn't move and it has never moved, it's a very ugly loan. I preach this often. Can I do them? Yeah, I rarely do because I don't want to. I think they're very ugly loans. I know there's other lenders that will absolutely do them. I just personally think they're predatory loans. So I don't like to do them. But you're getting a depreciating asset. Even if it was still in place, you're buying a depreciating asset that is a mobile home that is not a good buy and a horrible loan. But now you want to move it. Here's the problem. When you buy a used manufactured home and you move it, there is no loan for that home. There's no loan for that home. Here's the worst part. A lot of people, the reason for home ownership, a big reason for home ownership is instead of paying somebody else to live where I'm living, I'm going to pay myself to live where I'm living. So, and then we're just going to use round numbers. We're just spitballing numbers here, okay? So I am going to pay $100,000 for this house, knowing that one day in the future, it's going to be worth more than $100,000. So I'm paying off this home. So it's a piggy bank and a resting place for the $100,000 that I would have given to somebody else. I'm more or less keeping that $100,000 because I'm paying it to myself on my house. And then on top of that, it's going to appreciate or go up in value. So over time, one day when I sell it, it could be worth $200,000. So I got to spend my money on myself for the $100,000 piggy bank. Plus I made $100,000 by putting money into what's mine. That's one of the biggest reasons for home ownership. I don't want to, maybe I'll do a home ownership history video. A lot of people don't know what home ownership is and how it came about, how owning a piece of America was such a big deal. And it actually happened in the 1700s, but that's another conversation, another video. So let's talk about moving a mobile home. Once you move that to a different property, there is no loan for that. So if you ever look to sell it in the future, anybody that wants to buy it cannot buy it. And I see this happen all the time. I have an agent that would call me up, buyer's agent, says, hey, we found this house. We absolutely love it. We want to write an offer. I start doing some research. I look at the house. I go, so they're selling it Almost always, because people don't know, and sellers agents don't always know. They see a manufactured home, they're like, it's in great shape, they renovated it, it's on permanent foundation, it's on owned land. Fantastic. If I look at comparable properties in the area, it's worth $550,000. Wow, this is fantastic news, because they said they only paid like nothing, 100,000 for it, $500,000. No, sir. No, sir, it is not. It's not a comparable property. If it's a pre-1976 home, the loan product that's going to be used on it is a variation of a chattel loan that starts at maybe 12 to 15% with 30 to 35% cash down. If it has been moved in any way, if it's any year manufactured home, if it's been permanently affixed on one property, taken apart, moved, and permanently affixed to another property, there is no loans. Zero. So you're trying to sell a $550,000 house that somebody has to pay cash for. Now, keep in mind, why would they do that when they can actually get something that appreciates? Because there's the other key. The home that you're selling is not comparable because I guarantee the other properties are permanently affixed on owned land, 1976 or newer, and have never been moved, which meets HUD guidelines to be treated just like a stick-built house. But the home that you got does not. So that's kind of the key here. So should you, if it's cheap, buy a used manufactured home, move it, and set it up? If your intent is to eventually sell that house, if your intent is to borrow money in order to make it happen, the answer is no. However, if you don't care about the future value of that home and you have the cash, it's not a bad option. Let's talk about the big one. So where I do see this work, I have a buddy of mine. I was going to say who, but everybody's going to see this. I don't want you calling him, and I'm sure he doesn't want you calling him either. He is a genius. He started this. He owns a property. So how he got into it, he owns a property, and he moved a, what do you call those things? Like an RV. He had some land, and he moved an RV on there, and a buddy of his wanted to rent the RV to just sort of live there. Then he said, wow, I'm making this extra money on an RV that I don't always use. So then he built some hookups on his property. Then he built another set of hookups and got another RV and started renting it. And then he reached out to me one day and said, hey, I have this idea. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the financing for him, but it's all right because he went ahead and went a different direction. He went and did hard money, and he had some cash. So what he did, he actually bought up parcels that were in line with each other that were relatively cheap, that were off of this dirt road up the way from where I am physically sitting right now. I think he bought 6 lots. He bought the 6 lots. And he bought used, basically went in, did all of the permitting, did all the fees, did all the utilities. And then once all that was done, he did that out of pocket. Then he went ahead and started buying these used manufactured homes. Started using hard money. Used manufactured homes, moving them onto the properties, and then turning them into rental properties. He has done exceedingly well, unbelievably well. And that has turned into his buy and hold portfolio. Now, let's talk about buy and hold properties. What typically do investors look for when they talk about buy and hold properties? They're looking for the trifecta, or what I call the trifecta. So you're looking for appreciation, meaning it goes up, depreciation, you can write off, and then cash flow. In the scenario that we're talking about with my buddy, really, he's chasing cash flow. And it's fantastic cash flow because he's into each one of these properties for not much. It's not much money. And then when you look at the rents, so for him in specific, for each one of these used manufactured homes, I think he's into each one about $150,000 when it's all said and done. And he's able to rent these things for about $2,200 a month. That's a home run. That's a home run. So if you figure, if you're looking at just, and this is, so let's break down simple math. If you're looking at a 12% annual return, so 1% per month on principal, that's $1,000 for every $100,000. So if you were doing a 12% annual return on each one of these properties and it's $150,000, then we're looking at $1,500 a month that he should be getting in rents, right? But he's actually getting like $2,300. So he well exceeded 12% annual return. Now here's where it gets really cool. That's just in year 1. Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7. As you know, rents keep going up. They can go up anywhere from 3, sometimes 7% per year. So if you're already making a 15 or 20% return, and every year you can bring it up anywhere from 2, 3, 4%, you're talking about, hey, if you want to start hedging inflation, yay. But you're actually ahead year one forever to where you're paying off and paying down that debt, which the debt is going to be cheaper than the 12% annual return. You typically are going to get that at, let's say, 9. If you're being wild about it, at 9%. So he's making 3% off of the borrowed money, and then he's making that full run of almost another 12% annual return on the back end of everything else. That's fantastic. But those homes will never appreciate. They'll never go up in value. They're going to depreciate, actually. Write-offs. Are there write-offs? Yeah, sure. But the cash flow is really what he's chasing. So it's not really a great trifecta thing, because when he looks to sell off that portfolio, he's going to have to sell them for cash, and they're going to be to another investor that just wants that cash flow. And it's not going to be worth as much as he would probably want it to be when he gets to that point. But his intent, he's like, I'll never sell them. I'll let them sit there until I'm dead, leave it to my kids, and tell the kids, don't ever sell them until you're dead. So it's not a bad little thing. But anyways, it's just my thoughts. I just figured I'd sit here and just kind of run my mouth for a few minutes and just tell you my thoughts on buying an old used manufactured home, moving it to land. Could it be good? Could be. Could it be bad? Could be. Just depends on what you want to accomplish. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you all later.